I think his whole point on that was passion.
So many different ways to do everything in our business. It's ridiculous.
Feedback I got from a lot of people was really good.
Definitely an added benefit to finding the right partner.
I'm excited to kind of see what way we go with that.
We'll get first place, or you can just go behind me. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Born to Tint podcast with the Miller brothers. I'm excited and thrilled to be here with my older brother, Josh.
How's it going, everybody? So I'm Josh Miller with Green Valley Window Tint. My brother, Ricky Miller with Green Valley Window Tint. I don't think we mentioned the business enough while we're doing this. This episode's really fun because it's just going to be the two of us kind of chopping it up and talking about plans for the year, some exciting stuff coming on in the industry, like the Tinter Battle competition we're going to go to in April. Kind of giving a preview that we're going to Alex Hermozi and Layla Hermozi's acquisition.com workshop next month. Give some feedback on WealthCon, Ryan Pineda's quarterly conference here in Vegas that we're fortunate enough to get to go to, and kind of talk about the experience I had going to that this time, and talk about a bunch of different stuff, leadership, kind of our school that we're developing right now. And check it out. It's just the two of us this time, having a very cordial and not common conversation for the two of us. The cameras actually kind of made us play nice. It was actually a really, really fun conversation to have with my little brother.
Last week, so I was out of town. Had a little family vacay.
Yeah, how was Disney?
Oh, blast. Disney was blessed. It was what I wanted it to be, obviously. Luca's first experience to Disneyland. It was a blast. Like we almost stayed an extra day because I had the time, but then just doing the math on Disney pricing, it made more sense that we'll go back again one day. But it was a blast. He had an absolute amazing time. I would say tricked him, or I didn't trick him. I just didn't give him all the information.
Yeah, I saw a picture of you guys on the Avengers. I was kind of shocked.
Oh, I got him to go on a lot. Anything I could get him on height-wise. A couple things where he was just under 42 inches, so there was a couple rides he couldn't get on, which talk about just gut-wrenching and just crushes you. Like, the first thing we did was we walked off to, like, a little play area in between a couple rides, and, like, it was a jungle gym, and there was tire swings, where you had to be so high, but you couldn't be too tall, just so adults weren't going to go on it. And, like, it had to be 42 inches. Stood him up right against it. And I measured him before we went out there, too, so I could at least know I could psych him up about. And I could have sworn 42 inches he was going to clear. He, like, with his hat off, just cleared. So the lady checked him. And I was like, oh, no, it's okay. And he came out, and he was like, why didn't you let me go on it? And I was just like, dude. Like,
next time, dude.
Yeah, so explain all that to him. But, no, I was able to get him on the Avengers Assemble, which is Tower of Terror, the new Tower of Terror.
Yeah, it's good.
Which is a much better name if you're trying to get a kid on it. Is Avengers Assemble. They put, a couple of the Marvel characters, and he was like, I'll give it a go. And every single photo we got of him from Tower of Terror, I got him on Space Mountain, got him on Thunder Mountain, which Thunder Mountain ended up being like one of his favorite rides, which was hilarious. But even on Space Mountain, the same look on every single ride that was kind of, I guess, a roller coaster, just straight, no emotion, just stare. And then afterwards, look over at him. So, buddy, did you like it? And he, no, didn't like it. Like, I was able to get him to go back on the Tower or Avengers Assemble ride again with Malix, which Malix had the same response. Like, yeah, no, thank you.
Did they like the little pre-show, like when you're actually?
Yeah, that was the stuff. That's what sucked. That's what got Luca into to begin with, was seeing that, and like he's like, what's happening? And it's like the first guys that we sat in front of the very first night we got there, like after we got done with it, like I sparked a conversation with them. I was like, oh no, I didn't tell them anything. I just told them we're gonna go on a ride, and they're like, nice. Parenting done right. I'm like, why am I gonna fill his head with a bunch of stuff? Like, let's let him go experience it, see what he does. Like, he was stoked, Talking him into other things though, he had to set him up a little differently, but he rode a lot of the rides. We had a fun time. But I know while I was out, you went to WealthCon.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. Got to go to WealthCon, Pineda's quarterly conference that they do. Being how we're doing the podcast through them, it was like, all right, let's go check this out. 1,000 people at the M.
I didn't know it was that big. That's
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, it's grown, man. It was kind of cool too because he gave the story on how he started it with like 8 people in his living room, and I think he didn't really start building up his social media and the whole presence with everything he's got going now until like 2019, 2020.
2020.
It's kind of cool to see how much can be done in, relatively a short period of time. Ton of value. I learned a lot. I'm not a house flipper or into a lot of the stuff that I think a majority of the people there were there for. But he had a really good mix of business advice and just overall financial advice. I learned a lot about real estate that I didn't know. Even had a couple of people there that were teaching how to acquire businesses and sell businesses, which was super useful. I'm excited to actually do, one of them is doing like a free 4-day course that I sent you. Excited to do that. A lot of good information, a lot of great people. It was kind of cool. There was people from all over the place there. It was definitely a lot of people from outside of Vegas. I met a lot of people from California, Arizona, a handful of people from out of the country even. Yeah, it was pretty cool, man. Trying to think of highlights. Tim Tebow was one of the speakers. His speech was really good. It actually had me. He told a story about his favorite movie in the world being Braveheart.
Yeah.
He tells a story about his dad coming home from being away like on a mission when he was 8 years old, and that was the movie that was on the flight. And he goes and rents it at Blockbuster, brings it home to show his boys, and turns it on and. Didn't realize the version he saw on the plane was edited. But
no.
Yeah. But he's like, this will build some toughness. That was a really cool story, and you could see just a lot of stuff he talked about. Like, okay, yeah, that makes sense why that dude was so successful. He had some good mentorship and just mindset of. I think his whole point on that was passion. His dad was telling him he just wants him to be passionate about something in his life the way William Wallace was. And that was like the takeaway. And it's a great movie. But that inspired me to actually go sit down and watch that movie with my kids. So they're a little bit older right now. So I think actually it was just Brooke. The other ones didn't want anything to do with it at the time. But so I watched that with Brooke over the weekend, and she enjoyed it. Yeah. I don't know, man. The networking was really cool. Met a lot of really good people. Everybody was definitely there to network and kind of mingle. A lot of successful realtors and stuff from in town here. Ex-NFL player who does real estate in Hawaii, who played for the Cowboys and the Ravens. We've been talking. He's interested in coming on here, so that could be cool.
So to me, it's like one of those things. It's almost like going to the Tin-Off or Panorama meeting. It's rejuvenating, like lights a fire to where like just be around that many people that have the passion and drive to learn more and to just try to grow.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody there was there. They spent a lot of money to be there on those tickets, and they were there to try to better themselves in their either real estate skills, business skills, help build their network.
I would say almost like the mustard too type thing, like being surrounded by that kind of those type of leaders and dominant personalities. Yeah,
and the thing that like really stuck out to me, and it's why I'm glad we're doing more stuff like this here in the future, like going to Hermozi's acquisition.com workshop next month. The Tin-Off and the Panorama meeting, they're great, but everybody there is coming at it from the lens of being in the tin industry. So getting to talk to people outside of the tin industry about what we're doing and what our plans and ambitions are, and getting feedback from people from like an outside perspective, and feedback I got from a lot of people was really good, and looking at it from a different angle. So that was really nice. One of the other guests that really stood out to me, and he's someone I hope we can get on here, that he said he'd be interested, and he said he's out here a lot actually working with Pineda's crew, was Will Grimes. He's a Marine special operator who then became a police officer when he got out. Had some crazy stories about stuff he saw on the job there, and just gave a really good, heartfelt, very honest and emotional. I don't think there was too many dry eyes at a couple spots during his speech, kind of just telling some of the stuff he's been through and, you know, kind of talking about mindset on, you know, the one incident that happened where a baby died. Could have broke him. You know, it was, I'm not even going to get into it because it was, I can't do it justice compared to him telling the story. But then, you know, it didn't break him, and then he saved somebody else's life like a couple weeks later, like really close in time. And that was powerful, man. Like, it was cool that I got to actually speak to him while I was there. A lot of the speakers and guests that were there made themselves available in the hallways afterwards, so that was really nice. Pineda's whole crew, they ran that thing like a really well-organized machine. There was they had people everywhere to help you with anything. I feel like it was spaced out really well. And I'm excited to go again. It's really cool that he's doing it quarterly, and the fact that it's out here. The next one's at Caesar's Palace, and I'm really excited to go to that one.
No, yeah, it's definitely an added benefit to finding the right, I guess, partner.
Yeah, I think that's why we chose him to do this.
To do business with is now we get the added benefit of that happening every quarter. It was, unfortunately, I saw the dates for this past one. We had already booked. We already booked the trip because for Luca's birthday, that was his birthday present. Was hey man, he's finally was at an age where he could get on a lot of stuff, and then B, I think he was going to retain as much as possible. Yeah. But like it was a fun age to take him. So it was just one of those things where it's like, all right, definitely going to the next one. We'll get the next one planned.
Yeah, like family's going to come first. Always.
Yeah. But like leading into like being outside of our comfort zone, like setting our goals for this upcoming year for 2024. I mean, starting off with the Alex Hermozi thing. Like I know I think originally going to be me and you, but I looked at it as do I want to go? Yeah, I do. But I think though, I know for certainty you got to go. You got in my mind, a clear vision of how you see certain things when it comes to other aspects of our business that I just don't think that way, that I trust your opinion when it comes down to it. So I want to send you to it, and then also we're sending Michelle to go to that too. Really, really interested to see what kind of feedback we get from them of what are, because I know we're going to sit down, the three of us, and kind of come up with like, all right, what goals are we trying to accomplish this year? Where do we want to get certain parts of the business to? What are we trying to grow? What are we trying to fix technically or try to improve? You know, either being our social media presence to try to widen the funnel, to get more leads, you know, all those different things. I'm excited to get another person's feedback beyond the fact of you already getting the feedback from WealthCon. I look forward to the next WealthCon, but now we get to get some feedback from Hermozi and his team. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to that. Like, you know, what other goals would you say that, I mean, because we kind of jumped on that right off the bat. You kind of sprung that on me, and
Yeah, that happened kind of quickly. I just happened to be working on the affiliate program that we're trying to get launched right now, and I'm using Hermozi's book. I've even like taken pictures of the affiliate page, which I'm sure part of the feedback we're going to get there is we're kind of going out of order a little bit, but I know that that's something that we could implement quickly that would actually have an actual monetary, like, we'd see it quickly. I feel like maybe not a month or two, but we, you know, our plan to try to actually get more landscapers and people that are installing turf aware that they can put film on the windows near them to protect the turf from melting, which everybody's having problems with. I've been using his book and the free courses online because the book comes with free courses on their website for each section of the book. I just happened to go on there like January 2nd. Like, it was like beginning of the year.
First day back.
And yeah, right back. I went on there to like, okay, I've given the pages of the book to ChatGPT. I've created an outline of a structure of an affiliate program that we want to launch based off of his principles in teaching. That looks really good so far. And I've been line by line going through it and kind of building out all the suggestions on here's the steps you need to take. Which I feel like looking at it, it's like, yeah, this is following everything his book says. So I went onto his website to go do I'm going to watch the actual videos on the affiliate section, and it popped up that they're doing this new workshop thing for up to 50 businesses. And then we got on the call with them, and the fact that they're wanting you to bring certain statistics and numbers and goals for what you're doing, and you're going to get feedback directly on your business was like, man, like, and for the price point it's at, I feel like it's like a no-brainer to get their feedback. Same thing I was talking about WealthCon. Like, we need some feedback. Like, we don't know it all. We know we don't know it all. Let's learn our business skills. Let's hone those in better from people who are actually know what they're doing. Let's go do that. Then when I'm at WealthCon, turns out that, Ryan has Wealthy Business. They had some presentations there for that, including the RISE program with Gary Sharp. That was really, really interesting. Got to sit down with him even at WealthCon and go over some stuff, which that was the part that I really wish you guys were there for. So we need to, I've talked to him since. We actually need to schedule that to actually sit down and go over a call with them also, because all the parts of the business that you've been harping on that we need to kind of square up is exactly kind of what they help you work on. As far as organizational structure, how do you remove yourself from seats in the business, and how do you actually know by your numbers when's the appropriate time to hire? I'm fly by the seat of my pants kind of person sometimes.
I think we both kind of are when it comes down to it.
We're
still, we're learning
business,
as we go.
You can't be that way.
No,
right?
no. Yeah.
Sometimes, you need to take action quickly and get stuff done, but other parts of business, people have figured out, like, all right, here's how you actually look at your numbers and your profitability and determine what's the most important thing to go after right now. And that program looks extremely interesting to me, especially talking with them. But I'm excited to kind of see what way we go with that, if we're going to join up with that. But for me, goal for the year is that's what we have to have dialed in the most. Is like, we know how to tint windows. We know how to close jobs when we get the leads. We're tightening up right now on our actual lead generation through paid ads, but we've made some switches in agencies we're using, which that's about to go live. But paid ads and organic only go so far.
Yeah.
What are the other areas that we know we need to tighten up on? That's one of them for sure. That I feel like even the Hermozi workshop that's kind of what we're going there for. Is like, all right, here's what our vision and plan is right now from our perspective, and this is what we plan on going after. But if it was you, Alex, Layla, what would you be focused on right now? What is the actual highest leverage opportunity that we could take advantage of right now? I think I know what it is, but
What's your guess?
I mean, this is where I've kind of had a mind shift in talking to Gary and seeing the RISE program. Is, to me, it's always been content, lead generation, like engagement with the end consumer kind of helps us drive everything else. If we're so busy with leads and sales calls that we're got more work than we can do, then it kind of frees everything else up. But when you actually step back and take a look for a second, if you actually really understand your numbers better and the right numbers, because sometimes you think you know what those are, but they're not. And getting advice from somebody who's run multiple different businesses and helped counsel, hundreds of other businesses be successful. There's common business traits and skills and things you need to pay attention to that aren't necessarily top of mind when you're just trying to get the next job in front of you done. We've gotten better at it, definitely, in the last couple of years. I think TintWiz and having a CRM that allows us to track everything so much better and communicate better has been a huge leap forward. Everything that he was talking about for that RISE program is things that we're aware of right now and working on, but maybe working on them in the wrong order. And it's like engagement and growing your audience and actually going for more work before you're actually ready for it is the wrong way to do it, which is what you've been saying. So it was confirmation to me on that, on like, okay, it's nice to have so many leads that you can't handle them, but then your extra little time that you should be working on the things that are going to make you more profitable, make your business sellable, or even the idea of acquiring other businesses to complement your business is one of the pieces of advice that was given as like, that makes a lot of sense, actually. If you can, like we're talking about getting into window cleaning as an additional service, maybe not standing something from the ground up. Maybe there's an opportunity out there to find somebody there's a lot of older people out there that, it's kind of in the place mom and dad were in, but they don't have us, right? They don't have someone to take it over for them and keep it going. You know, there's so many businesses out there right now that could be way more successful. They've got a lot of stuff already set up and in place. Yeah. They just need some tweaking. Rather than starting something entirely new, you take something that already works, already has a customer base, already has processes in place, employees, and go in and make the tweaks we've been making to our business. Like, maybe that's an option. So there was a lot, man. There was a lot of really good information. And really, for me, it's what do we attack next? What's actually the highest leverage opportunity?
That's my biggest thing is, are we, not to say there is like a one size fits all game plan, but like, are we heading in the right direction? Are we in the right vicinity of things that we're trying to go after? And then it's like, all right, we are. All right, now let's take those things, let's refine that down even further. And then, start, prioritize and execute. Yep. And man, get back to Jocko is find out what it is. All right, let's go after that. Let's go to the next one. Like, and just, slowly hone anything in. So that was definitely my biggest, that's the other huge push, or the big plus. Like I said, to partnering with Pineda was like, I don't think we knew what the perks were until like we actually got into the process of setting all this up. And then the more and more we got, we realized like, oh, we have all this too. Oh, we have access to all this. We have all this more information. Like, it's, we found a really good partner, I would say, when it comes down to it. And I'd say that's definitely something that, like, I've never even thought about that, thinking about like finding a window cleaning company that maybe is already at a point where kind of Dad was at before he had a stroke. Like, hey, I'm 35 years in, I'm done. Like, it has the structure there, and then maybe we can step in, and it's already something that's already built up, and the added benefit of their clientele list, and then now we have a not never-ending list, but a pretty big list of residential clientele on our side that we can go, well, we can instantly boost all those numbers. Yeah. Just feed it into our clientele. Yeah, that's a big mind shift I've had on the window cleaning thing, because I've been saying for a long time we've seen it added as a service, which I still think would be a good idea. You can. It's just so much to stand up in my eyes, which it's just
well, and I think it a standalone business that maybe gets rolled into one thing, or stays separate. The staying separate part is really interesting to me, because if you can come up with a really good model for, I know right now the window tinting side of the business would be lead generating for that all day long, because how many customers ask, now I need to get the outside when it's done, so if it was part of our window tinting business, how many leads could we go generate from other window tinting businesses in town? Probably not many, because why are they going to send their customer to us? Whereas if you had a separate entity that wasn't part of the window tinting business,
but Vegas is a small town, though.
Yeah, but I feel like if you have it as an entirely separate entity,
I think
you could go offer an affiliate program to all these other tint shops that don't want to deal with window cleaning, because they obviously aren't right now, and they probably are in the same place we are, that they don't want to deal with it. But if you could set up a cool affiliate program where now that those are great affiliates, right? Every tint shop in town that does residential commercial would be a killer affiliate. Like, hey, we're going to cut you off X amount for every lead that you generate. And
I think the big thing there would be just finding the right shops, obviously the right partners to do it with, to where you can. Because off the top of my head, I can think of a couple different shops in the valley that I would 100% go talk to,
that's what I'm talking
and
about.
Have a conversation with, to where it's like, hey, all we're looking to do here is, I'm just trying to make more money. I know you're trying to make more money. I can provide that for you. Yeah. You provide the client. I can provide you with the percentage.
Yeah, I'm not saying like do it deceivingly.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Openly have that. We've already got those relationships, right? So, hey, look, we didn't do it as a service inside of our business, and we've got this separate business. And if you send us work, we can guarantee we're not going to try to like poach them for windows.
What you do is you already have contracts and stuff in place, to where it's like, here, we're not looking to. And especially with the content we've already been putting out, and most of the relationships that we've talked to those guys, those are shops that I've already mentioned. I think we've had that question in the past on the podcast, like, what other local tint shops would I recommend for like my home, or to do my own work? And there is about 4 or 5 that I'd have zero problem with them doing work on my own, because I trust the owner. I've had conversations with them. I know where they stand when it comes to quality of work and how their company operates and what their standards are, and absolutely would be on board with it. So, no, that makes That makes sense. No, to me, it's almost never ending when it comes down to, especially with, like, say, the affiliate program, beyond affiliate program for turf companies. I'd say one of my goals is expanding that one step out, glass companies, which I know that we have in the past with certain companies, and it's just, again, comes down to finding the right business partners, because there are definitely glass companies out there probably would love to have a company that would, hey, we're going to send you the size and what we need, and it can just like just get it taken care of. Like, you're actually going to show up on the time you said you're going to show up, get it done, knock it out, and move on. And then there's companies that, unfortunately, like, you're like, hey, I need all this information, and they keep not getting it to you. And it's just one of those things like, all right, well, obviously you don't want the partnership, or maybe there wasn't enough presented on our end for actually making a partnership to where it's like, hey, for every one of these, this is what percentage you're going to get, or what they'll get out of it beyond the fact of this, helping their customer out, getting their windows tinted. Actually incentivize them to want to do the work instead of just like replace the window and like, oh yeah, here's the tint guy, just get it done.
They contact us when they need tint done instead of actually recognizing that it's a solution they could offer to their customers.
Yeah. Especially safety film. Yeah. Or even decorative. Both those two. I mean, I can understand not recommending tint depending on what type of glass they're putting on the glass. If you're replacing some old glass, makes sense. Putting brand new panes in, not that many glass shops are going to say, hey, you should tint your windows. But if you want a frosted window inside your bathroom, instead of spending or having to charge their customer like quadruple the rate of regular glass, hey, we can get regular glass, put frost on it. It's going to look exactly the same, but it's going to cost a fraction of the price.
Yeah, same thing with blind shutter companies, window covering companies.
Definitely.
Like, rather than seeing it as a competitor to your product, look at it as a way to enhance your product and protect it, and actually just provide more value to your customer.
Especially shutters and blinds, because the Vegas sun destroys those things. You see the yellowing on the backside of shutters. Like, shutters aren't cheap. Like, easy fix to that, put 40% film. It's going to knock all that UV and heat off of it to the point to where it's not going to warp in 4 or 5 years. Yeah. Like, it's going to take more than a decade. And if anything, in my eyes, I'm thinking it'll even warp with film on there. You'll be replacing the film going bad first, which, if you're still in the house, lifetime warranty, it gets replaced for free.
Yeah, and that's going to be 20 years down the line.
Yeah. Most time people aren't, most people on average aren't in their home that long. So it's one of those things. But beyond acquisition, going to that conference, and us going to the next WealthCon, I know coming up in April, we have officially got tickets to Tinter Battles.
Oh, yeah. I'm super excited about that.
Yeah.
I know that you got to talk to Carlos a little bit on some little inside scoops on some of the things they're adding. I don't know if they're inside or if he's already announced them.
I think,
not, but it sounds exciting.
I think some of them have been talked about. I'm pretty certain by the time I think this gets released, they'll definitely have been I've talked about it, but I know that they're having a bunch more titles this year, different competitions. Architectural, obviously, that was a big push, and it's going to be a team event. So maybe, we'll get first place, or you can just, tail behind me, and we'll team together. You get another first place trophy.
Your team is team, right?
I'll carry you, don't worry. No, I'm excited for that. I don't know. I'm looking for the details to come out on that, on how he's going to set that up. But that seems like that'd be a fun competition, because even if you have two guys that have been in a shop, like, say, even a decade, there's not that many competitors in our space that me and you have been working together for decades. And beyond that, we've lived with, we've grown up together. So that kind of communication and connection, in my eyes, is going to be, depending on what we have to do, it's going to be, in my eyes, hard to beat when it comes down to it. Yeah. Especially because we know exactly how we tint. We know the same, we were trained by the same person, kind of set up really nice to really take a stranglehold on that competition.
I'm interested to see what he does, because I know in the past Tinter Battles, they've done things where I think they've paired people up that weren't necessarily in the same.
We'll see.
So that would be kind of cool too.
That would.
It was there's almost a draft where it's just these are randomly pair people up, and then that would be cool for a learning aspect of it, having to go actually compete and complete a project with somebody you've never worked with before. You're both going to learn some stuff along the way, and his whole goal behind the competition is to have everybody be learning while they're there. So that would be cool too.
Yeah, well, you if anything, split it up to been doing flat glass for 5 or less years, and then have the 10 or plus years of that, pull from each thing. you guys are now teamed up together.
Yeah.
And like even from different generations of learning flat glass, because it's completely different from when we started and we went through our CDA phase or with having that type of glue on the film. And then back to, we worked with the original PS films, pressure sensitive, the sticky glue. Yeah. That stuff was nightmare. And now it's...
Well, it built strong shoulders.
No, that's for certainty. Yeah. I know that he's also, beyond the architectural title, there's going to be, this will be the first time they've ever had in our industry, a competition for protective films for windshields. And
that'll be cool.
Yeah, I'm... That technology's been out for a little bit, but I think it's finally at its point where it's extremely practical. I know we sold it at one point. We stopped only because I think it was maybe 10 years ago. Yeah, about 10 years ago. And cost of goods weren't that high 10 years ago, or at least they weren't at where they're at right now. And also the technology in the windshields was completely different.
Yeah, windshields to the average car windshield was $200 or $300 to replace. And who's going to put a $400 to $500 install of film to protect a $200 windshield? Now windshields are creeping up there where you're lucky if it's $800 or $900 to replace your windshield. There's a lot of them that are way more than that.
Oh, absolutely. If you have a sensor in your windshield, minimally you're looking about $650 to $680 because you've got about $300 for the glass, and then they have to reprogram the sensor in the glass itself.
All the time to deal with that.
Yep.
A pain in the ass.
Oh, and then you get into the higher end. I mean, Teslas, I know a 3 only because Justin, our brother-in-law, had his windshield replaced. He's just unlucky. He constantly catches rock chips on his windshield. I think it was his Tesla 3 he had to replace. It was like $1,100 for a windshield, which now it makes sense. Hey, I have an option where it's going to be $400 to $500 to put an exterior film on. It's not going to be a lifetime warranty, but it's going to be cost effective to the point where if you avoid replacing your windshield once and you do it over, say, a 5-year span. I know it depends on the manufacturing, where the warranty's at. I know when we were selling it back in 2014, I think it was like 5 to 7 year warranty, something like that. But I'm not quite sure where it's at now. Yeah. But I'm really looking forward to, it'd be fun to compete in that. And then also, because of that portion of our business or of our industry is growing, actually introducing that into our shop now, because now it's practical. Now it makes sense. I'm not just trying to oversell a customer just to make money off them. It's no, your windshield cost you about $1,000. I can put this on here and you're not going to catch a rock chip.
Well, and then here's the other really strong advantage to it now is it's not just clear. They've got it with the infrared solar control protection. Yep. So it's like how many customers now have realized that they can put an infrared clear film on their windshield just for the heat rejection. Now that's $300. Now you could actually take the cost of that out of it and say, okay, now it's only $500, and you're protecting the windshield from getting broken. So you got $300 savings and $1,000 to replace the windshield. Like it's only costing an extra $200, and we can actually protect the windshield from being broken. So
I didn't even think about it that way.
That's huge. Like that didn't exist when we first started doing it. It was just clear.
Yeah.
Right? So that's big. I think that's a great product that we should definitely start servicing as soon as possible because it's definitely come a long way.
I would say obviously Tinter Battles will get a lot of information on that.
Yeah, that's April
18th to the 20th in Orlando. So that will be. I'm really looking forward to that competition. And then beyond that, I know they're also doing a squeegee competition.
Yeah, I saw the content on that. That's a good idea. That's funny.
Well, and then what insight Carlos gave me too is that he's also pushing for window cleaners. So he wants to stir up the question, which I've already made a statement on this in a prior episode, is who's the better window cleaners? Window cleaners or window tinters? For me, it's a pretty simple answer. It's window tinters. And there is no, in my eyes, there's no argument against it. If you're at the upper echelons, okay, not all window tinters. Obviously, a skilled window tinter has been doing it for the same amount of time that I say a window cleaner has been doing it. In my eyes, I'm going to put the money on the window tinter.
Yeah, I agree and I disagree. I feel like we definitely get the window cleaner because we have to for putting the tint on, but someone who's been just professionally only cleaning windows, not for the purpose of putting film on it, but just cleaning windows and see how fast I can get it actually getting a window clean. For them, because they don't have to be as thorough, they're probably going to be a lot faster. at getting more windows done.
Yeah, and that comes down to what, how is the competition going to be scored, and how thorough is it going to be looked at?
Yeah.
So it's going to come down to scoring then, I guess. But I mean, it's going to be
the window tinter is definitely going to get the window cleaner and ready to install, because the window cleaner doesn't necessarily care about that. If the window is streak free and looks clean, like, they're not cleaning out the silicone in the edges and stuff like that. Like, they don't care, right? Like, that's just going to stay.
Yeah. Oh, even when it comes down to, I would assume they still spray out the channeling around the edges of the window, but getting deep in there, what will end up happening is the water eventually will drip out. So it's like, all right, so after how long you're done squeeging that window, I'm excited to see how that competition kind of shakes out, because there is a lot of variables to it, and there'll be just like the window film mag tin off, WFCT, there'll be people saying, well, this window's different than mine, this one's different than this. Like, there's going to be some variables that you can't control. But for the most part, I'm excited to see how he sets it up and kind of goes after it.
Rules will dictate everything. It's like we talked on a prior episode about, MMA and jiu-jitsu. Like, early UFC, the rule set was very different, and there was no time limit, and that changes. I mean, now, as you change the rules, it becomes a sport, and how you actually apply attacking it completely changes. So it'd be the same thing. The rules are going to dictate everything. Competition is competition. That's one of the big kind of separations in the jiu-jitsu world. There's like half of the Gracie family that's completely focused on self-defense, and then there's the other half that kind of went the direction of sport jiu-jitsu. And the argument is always like, you should always teach self-defense first, because that's what people are actually really trying to learn it for. Yeah. Whereas some of the stuff you're doing in sport jiu-jitsu, if you tried it in the real world without knowing the downside, you lock a triangle up on somebody in a real world fight, they stand up, you better let go. In a jiu-jitsu competition, you're not letting go because it's illegal for them to spike you on your head. In the real world, there's no rules. Like, you're about to get knocked out, you better let go.
The earth's about to knock you out.
Yeah, so rules are going to dictate everything when it comes to competition like that.
Yeah. Well, and then I think the last, not the last, because of the pressure, there'll probably be more that pops up too, because I know he's still working on a lot of background stuff. The other conversation I had with Carlos was that we are going to be trainers at the competition. Obviously, something focused on flat glass itself. Thankfully, with us being able to win the titles that we have won, I know we're going to set something up as a training course of some sort, and I'm really looking forward to that. And when I told him we'd be we're totally open to that, he was like, "Dude, hell yeah!" I was, I really hoping you guys would, and he's like, Marco's going to get a hold of me, and then we're going to set up a whole training plan of what we'll end up doing. But I'm really looking forward to that, just because to get on the other side of the coin. Yeah. Previous conversation we had with Armando, my biggest draw towards Armando was the teaching aspect and also jiu-jitsu. And now, after having that conversation too, really looking at it, how he's now training our trainees makes complete sense. Slowly train them on little by little things through the progressions, almost like going from white belt all the way up to black belt. Yep. You're being taught to train while being taught to tint at the same time.
While you're training the people that are coming in behind you, which is helping you get better faster, like that.
So when the next person comes in, you're ready to train them. Yeah. And then, keeping that culture in our shop, we'll expand out to when we stand up the Flat Glass Academy and start bringing in whoever wants to come.
Yeah, I think that has to be the heart of it. Is it needs to be train the trainer type of program that is something you can bring back and implement, to where it's not, you're not gonna master architectural window tinting in a 3-day course.
No.
But you can get the structure and infrastructure in place to do continued learning, right? And have online content that, will record the Tinter Battle instruction, and, there's always something you can be learning. Again, I'm bringing it back to jiu-jitsu again. There's a big debate in the jiu-jitsu world if watching YouTube videos or Instagram Reels or TikToks on people showing moves is a good or a bad thing. In my opinion, for me, it's been great, Yes, it's not the same as actually getting hands-on in an actual class and applying it, but, if I'm learning one technique at class, or maybe 2 or 3, sometimes things get chained together, then when it's time to roll, you only have as many lessons as you've taken to actually try to implement. If I know I've had success watching YouTube videos where it's like, oh, this actually plays into the game I'm already playing and things I've recently learned, and I can watch that video over and over and over again. Go apply it in class when we're rolling, get something wrong, it doesn't work, go back, watch the video again, oh, I missed this grip. And now I take it back in and, 2-3 weeks later of me attempting that in rolls when the opportunity presents, I all of a sudden start getting it. So I think the online portion and follow-up is huge. Instead of just going to a 3-day course, actually having the ability to watch the content of the course you just took and being able to actually go back and reference it when you actually come across that scenario is huge. And I don't think enough people take advantage of stuff like that. So there's people in jiu-jitsu that have been doing it since before all of this stuff was available online, like even BJJ Fanatics. It's full-on courses that you can watch that I've learned a lot from. People that didn't have that kind of think that it doesn't work and it's BS and it's never going to work. Yeah, by itself, without training partners and a coach, you're not going to get that good. But if you can combine the two, it's actually definitely going to help you get better faster. So that's my grand vision on teaching and having actual in-person classes and then follow-on content for people to actually watch, or even have the ability to access us and go do a FaceTime while they're on a project and get some feedback live. That would be invaluable.
Oh, no, absolutely. To me, it's already kind of proven in our industry. If you look at Autofill Mastery with Mike,
yep.
I come across the snippet videos, a reel here and there of, I don't remember the gentleman's name. He's out of California, but I know he's at the higher end of PPF installers in our country. Every time I watch his videos where he's explaining certain things on installing, for me, it's like a clear picture is being painted for me, like how to either squeegee something a certain way, just to don't attack it, don't go straight at it, hit it into an angle, you're going to spread the tension out and it'll stay, certain things will stay down, and how he's explaining it, I'm just for me, it's I understand it completely.
You already know the language, you know the fundamentals, right?
Correct. So it's when it comes down to it, I've already been exposed to the industry and I've been installing and I've already had my mess ups and where it's I've had issues with certain things where it's I couldn't understand where's the out in it, and then all of a sudden watching that little video, I'm watching him do it, I'm well, that makes sense. And then go try it, and it's yep, works exactly how he said. It'd been cool to know this a little earlier, but I don't think even seeing that video previous to me seeing it, I wouldn't have understood it because I hadn't been in it. So yeah, I think having the hands-on, but then backed with having something to reference back to, having that video value is. I don't think you can put a price on it when it does come down to it, but you definitely have to have some hands-on mixed in with it.
It's funny is I don't know. I always connect the dots on stuff in a weird way. I'm always looking for synergies and things. Alex Hermozi is always using the word leverage, and what's the optimal leverage that you can get out of something, which I definitely understand what he's talking about when he's saying that. It's another thing that you kind of learn in jiu-jitsu, right? Leverage is everything. But in business, where can you put in the least amount of effort and get the most out? So you've only got so much time. Yeah. Where can I dedicate a small amount of time and get a lot of output? Synergies are, I think, right in that same line for me. So synergy is always something I'm looking for. How can I do one thing and it's going to actually have multiple different outcomes, and how is connecting these things actually going to help? So even doing this podcast and us having these conversations right now, instead of it just us behind closed doors where we're not putting this stuff out into the open and kind of sharing it and looking for feedback, which, comment on this stuff when we're talking about it if you're listening or watching, and give us your feedback or questions about anything we're doing. I'm looking for the maximum amount of synergy we can find on anything we're doing. The fact that we're doing this now is actually going to help us implement something that was a big thing at WealthCon, actually. Here I am connecting 50 dots, so if you're having a hard time following along, this is kind of how my brain operates. But action. You talk about goals for the year, and, now that we're actually talking about this stuff openly and publicly, all right, we have to take action. We have to actually have a teachable, structured course ready to go by April for Tinter Battles, which we're already working on with our guys inside the shop. But now, like, hey, we're actually going to be presenting this to like a group of people. I don't want to look like I put no preparation into this. Like, what are the things we need to take action on right now to actually achieve these goals?
Well, even it comes down to the same thing with like what we're doing right now. We're doing this when we got brought in from our initial watching Pineda's first video, going through that whole process of being introduced to what the program was, told what the program was, them introducing us to doing this, to getting us to sit down and do our first couple episodes. Like, there were certain people that we didn't meet within the company, and it wasn't intentional. It was all planned. And like, when it happened, it made sense. Like, we had put, I think we were 12 episodes in around there.
Than that.
No, it was after our second big run of doing.
Well, we recorded a bunch all at once.
I was at SEMA. It was right after SEMA. Yeah. We ended up meeting Justin, and he like pretty much we had a great, I think it was like 30-minute conversation where he kind of like broke down like, I could have came and told you all this stuff to begin with. It right over the top of your head. I need you to get in front of a camera, get comfortable, and realize like, all right, that's step one.
Yeah.
Now here's step two.
Yeah.
You need to start kind of doing a little homework, looking into kind of the topics you maybe want to talk about, and like giving a little bit more insight of like how you want to kind of go about this to get the most leverage, to get the most out of it, and put out the best product. Yeah. You know, it's the same type of thing. You can't.
Exactly. It's like trying to teach a white belt too many details on a move the first time you show it to them.
Yeah, good luck.
Like, you gotta just go with the fundamentals. The second, third, fourth time that they learn that move or go through a class of it, now you can get into the more little nuanced things. Otherwise, those little nuanced things don't matter if you don't have the fundamentals down.
And could develop bad habits.
Oh, totally.
When it comes down to it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, definitely with our industry, that is something where it's the wrong suggestion or unfortunately, the wrong person teaching somebody will tell somebody, this is the way to do it. This is the only way to do it. That's not true. There's so many different ways to do everything in our business. It's ridiculous. But you're making two mistakes there. One, depending on what you're telling the person that you're teaching is, it could be useful, but also you could be completely wrong on what you're suggesting to them. And also you're teaching them like, hey, this is the only way to do it. So they get stuck in that mindset to where when they finally go out, say they're a couple of years in where they've just been getting by, and say if the quality or standard was at a certain point and everything seemed like I was on up and up, they get stuck in that rut. And now they go to experience a different shop to where it's like, hey, have you tried this? And they don't want to hear it. Yeah. They don't want to hear any improvement because in their eyes, well, I was told if you don't do it like this, like if I was told if you use too much water on your window, you know, you don't know what you're doing. And it's like, I call bullshit on that. I've been doing this my whole life, and in my eyes, water control is, yes, a very smart thing, but at the same time, if you have the right pads down, the right microfibers in your windowsill to control that.
Water control, right?
What I'm saying is but in my eyes, there is no such thing as having, I mean, there obviously could be too much water on the window, too much water when you're doing something, but we are trying to apply a piece of film that it's already tacky. If you're trying to thread the needle of this is just the right amount of water, in my eyes, you're going to create bigger problems for yourself because you miss one little patch, now your tint's stuck to the window, you got to rip it off, and you have ripped glue on the window. Yep. And a lot of times guys will just center that up, squeegee it, and like, oh, I hope that one spot's not noticed. Yeah. And the biggest thing with that too is like, if you're having the same problem over and over again, and I'm trying to tell you, hey, dude, you're not wetting your window enough. And like your response back was, not what I was told. Well, I'm telling you right now, that's what's happening. And that's why we keep getting windows that we have to keep replacing because it doesn't look good. Like you're not willing to budge. It's like, I'm not telling you have to do it this way. I'm saying try it.
Yeah.
Just see how it feels. And maybe you're going to adjust the way you spray or do something a little bit because of that. And I'm not saying you have to do it exactly the way I do it, but I see you're struggling over and over again with this one component. I've had that struggle before. This is what I did to try to help that struggle. Yeah. You know, just try to, and that's the hard part is trying to chop all that stuff down into increments to where you're not feeding them too much to begin with, but you're feeding them just enough, especially when someone doesn't know anything about the industry, to where you're building them up in the right way. Yeah. Like as long as we've been doing it, we still are trying to perfect training as much as possible. And our training's definitely gotten way better than where it started, where it was like, oh, you're a prepper for 6 months to a year. And then you'll start touching film, realizing like, okay, yes, we're going to teach you how to prep because that's very important, but we're going to jump you now into, you're going to learn how to finish a window off because that's the second hardest thing to do is after you get the film on there and squeegeed is sealing your edges and making sure nothing pops back up because if it pops back up, it's going to pull dirt back into your window. Yep. So if you perfect that skill and perfect touching your window up, you just perfected the two hardest things. Now you can learn the easier stuff in the middle.
Yeah.
So.
And then having something at the shop where they can get reps in cutting because cutting is probably the thing that people are most intimidated with.
Yeah.
And, it's weird that it's taken us this long, but that's where being humble and not having a crazy ego, no matter what accomplishments we've had or how long we do, I think one of our biggest strengths is the fact that we have grown to kind of kill our egos a little bit. And I definitely don't claim to know it all, and I'm definitely constantly learning better ways to do it. Like, if somebody out there who's only been tinting for, I'm excited for doing classes with people, especially I think our initial plan is to try to have people in that already have experience in the industry, but primarily automotive, because there's a lot of automotive tinters out there that know that there's extra money that they could be making by doing residential commercial installs. I'm excited to have those people in and learn from them, like, how have you been doing it? What are you doing? I bet you we're going to be surprised at how many little tips and tricks that people have developed just out of sheer they had to figure it out. And like, oh, okay, that's actually really cool. Like, this might be something I'm going to implement now. That happens with jiu-jitsu all the time, right? Like, somebody who knows less than you might figure something out in a different way than what you think is the way to do something, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, this works really well. Like, I'm excited about that part too. Like,
It's like 2016, Johan Kim won the flat glass architectural, had never tinted a piece of flat glass in his career. He was just an auto installer, which I didn't know until actually kind of recently.
I didn't know that till right now. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, he did it with tools that were complete auto tools, pre-cut his window, like did it in a way that like no one does in the competition, especially a flat glass installer. But because of, in my eyes, how skilled of an auto installer he is, because he had before that had won, I believe he'd won the auto division, if I'm not mistaken, or he placed high. He's
he podiumed for sure.
He's really good.
Out of South Korea.
Yeah, really. No. Oh, Georgia.
Who?
You're thinking of.
Yeah.
No, you're thinking of someone else. I'm talking about. He's a Lumar dealer.
Oh.
We haven't seen him, and he hasn't been at the competitions lately. But he was there for the first couple stretches of them.
Oh, but they've been podiuming too, though.
What?
Right? The what's his name?
South Korea?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's won it.
Yeah.
He's won the auto.
Okay.
The gentleman I'm talking about he's a Lumar dealer. He's friends with like Chris Brooks and Randy Humphreys and them, like pretty much the whole Lumar crew. Like that was one of those things where they just kind of threw him in there and he's like, all right. And then he ended up winning. And it was like, okay, like you are that skilled of an auto tinter where yes, when it comes to a flat glass window, he most likely got some advice from, I would assume, Randy and them. Probably gave him some pointers. And I mean, if you know how to tint a car, in my eyes, it's not that big of a stretch to get you a flat window, especially a rubber sealed flat window.
Yeah.
It's basic when it comes to flat glass.
Yeah. So in my mind, that's why I think the target group of people to try to help first that will actually be able to leverage it and put it to use and learn faster is someone who already understands the fundamentals of tint, right? So if they've already been tinting cars, they understand how to peel a piece of film, how easily it can get dirty, how to handle it.
Dirt aspects big.
Yeah, like understanding that and actually understanding what's preventable and what's not as far as contamination and dirt goes a long way. And then the fact that if they know that that's the thing that they want to learn, they're not going to come in with the crazy ego of thinking that they know it all and that they're actually coming to develop a skill that they know this other person has more experience than me. Jiu-jitsu, it's easy. It's black and white, right? Like you get on the mat and you roll. It doesn't even matter what a person's belt level is. You feel it like immediately. Like somebody's going to be dominating the other person and somebody's going to be tapping and somebody's not. And there's no argument on which way was better. Whereas people's egos can easily get in the way when it comes to window tint because if you found any level of success of actually being able to install a job and it come out good enough that the customer's not making you replace it, you might think that you know it all. Like you're not getting tapped out.
Yeah.
So
No, that's I would say the biggest advantage is competing is that, at least for our industry, at least for me, that was a big barrier for me that got me past that point of thinking I knew everything, was competing in 2012. And then every competition since then, it's just been same thing over and over again. Just letting me know that there are tons of great installers out there, and they all do different things, and you can draw something from what they do. There's some small little nuance of what they're doing. I've learned something from every 10 off that we've went to. And it doesn't matter if it's PPF, auto, or for flat glass. So there's things I've seen guys do in flat glass. I'm like, oh, that's smart. Yeah. That makes sense.
Well, we live in such a cool time, too. I think the opportunity right now, like, if you think about it, I think the idea of learning a trade or a skill just directly from somebody that already has experience and not like an accredited university or something like that. Like, I think we're at the dawn of more and more people where 20 years from now, it's going to be like the vast majority of people are just learning the skills.
Trade work.
Whatever skill it is. Mm-hmm. Like, it could even be things that are being taught in colleges right now where the textbook is 2 years old and already out of date. Well, why would I do that? Why would I put myself in debt and go to college to, everybody I talked to that went that route that, other than a handful of things, engineers, doctors, lawyers, like that's always going to be a thing. But there's a lot of people that just go because they think that that's what they have to do to be successful in life. And it's like, right now we've got the internet, we've got YouTube, we got all these schools popping up and people with decades, if not more, experience in a specific skill or trade that are setting up ways to actually realize that, hey, actually the next step for me is teach more people how to do this. It's kind of a sweet spot in time right now that we're in that I'm super excited about to see where it goes. I mean, me, big vision, like I'm kind of crazy and I look really far forward sometimes. Using an Oculus, like those things are getting so much better, or the Apple Vision Pro, whatever, you think about, imagine a time where those are actually so cost effective that most people have those the same way most people have cell phones now, and you're able to be live with somebody, consulting them and coaching them directly on an install because they have augmented glasses on. Like, that's coming for sure. Yeah. How far away is it? I don't know. It could be 2 years, could be 15, but it's definitely coming. And like, I want to stay on the leading edge of that. That's wild. Like right now, I've got an old GoPro that's the 360 GoPro, and using my Oculus on YouTube, there's all kinds of cool videos on YouTube right now that are 360 videos where you put the Oculus on and you're like on the cliff with Alex Hermozi while he's free soloing for 15 minutes, and you're actually like sweating because it feels like you're there. What kind of teaching environment is that? When you can actually have 360 cameras set up and have a person put on VR and actually basically be there in the room with you. If they move, they get a different angle, and they can actually, it's not just the 2D camera angle that they get. Like, that's already available right now. Like, I kind of want to record some videos with that and see, who's going to actually use that right now. Not too many people because nobody's thinking about it, but I think it's going to be commonplace in at least 10 years, maybe less. Yeah, no, it's definitely, I'd say we can definitely dabble with that when it comes to, like I said, I think our biggest goal for this year is standing up the Tint Academy and actually getting the process going and getting the first, because it's going to start off slowly, obviously, like 1 weekend a month. And then obviously as hopefully demand builds and we're able to develop the course itself, add more to it, make it bigger, I would willing to bet almost all the manufacturers would be extremely happy about the fact that if there is somewhere, it doesn't matter what the correlation is with what brand the film they might sell themselves, but that is going to teach installers how to do flat glass, because that's always the common thing that we've talked about over and over again is labor shortage. And technically that's almost everybody right now, but especially in our trade, it is a technical trade that you have to learn. And a lot of people, they don't know it exists and don't even know, like, where would I even start? Because most shops are going to shine you off. They're not going to, if you don't even have any kind of skill, they don't want to deal with you. They just don't want to take the time. There are shops that will. We've come to learn that it's more beneficial. It's a little bit longer route. But I'd rather bring someone in who knows nothing.
who claims to know nothing, even if someone who's already been somewhere and they are able to come in and be like, hey, like, yeah, I know a little bit, but like, I want to proceed if I know nothing. I just want to see what you guys throw at me. And then build them up in a way that we felt that we were able to grow from each stage and then get to the point where we can send someone off by themselves. I mean, we're like at a point, like I think Diego was our most recent hire. I think he's been with us, what, 4 months now? I will be shocked if he's not tinting by month.
I mean, he's installing every day right now, and his work looks good, man.
Yeah, see, like, that's what I mean. Like it's, and Armando did it in 10 months, and that was us technically stalling him out just by trying to develop a way to best fit our needs at the time because we were just so busy. We needed an extra set of hands. And not realizing like, hey, all right, we're going to struggle for a week or so as we let him kind of dabble in this. It'll slow us down. But the return net gain of letting him dabble in it and how fast it's going to speed him along is going to prove that much more valuable to us.
Yeah, because someone coming in, prepping the windows for you and doing all this stuff that an installer can't do, it
nice.
Speeds you up. But
at what cost?
Well, and all right, let them start installing. Give them extra reps in the shop. Now, 3 months down the road, we're on a job where it's easy windows and like how much faster is it when instead of him just prepping your windows, he's actually out of a 30 pane job, he's installed 10 of them.
Yeah.
Like that's even faster.
Yep.
Right? Like, okay, and you're there on site, so you still have the ability to go and look at all of them and okay, these look good. This one, you can deal with that right there on site if you have to, and then they start knowing what flies and doesn't fly, and you just be very strict with the standards.
Yeah.
And there's no reason that you can't do that. And I know industry-wide it's always been a fear to train people because people have trained people and have them leave. But then that ties into the culture and how are you as a leader and are you taking care of people so well that you're not afraid of them like trying to go compete with you.
Well, and also, too, you got to stop thinking that everyone just wants to go out and start their own business.
Yeah, not everybody wants to deal with that.
There are plenty of people that they work somewhere, and they are, when you let them actually into everything, all the other stresses that kind of come along with it. And I say that I'm not trying to be arrogant by saying like, oh, there's so many more stresses running a business than there is tinting, but there are more stresses added to when you're trying to make sure certain jobs are getting done. Other things are like the complete business aspect of it. Guys see it and they're like, I'm good. Like I've said a couple of times, like if I could go back to be like, I know right now I'm a prime age for me being an installer, and I could probably go install somewhere and reduce my stress tenfold at the moment. But when it comes down to it, I can only do that for so long, and I really enjoy the business side of it. I do enjoy those the new challenges and the new stresses that come along with it, and moving to that point in my career. But there are certain people who are like, nah, I'm good. I mean, Greg up in Canada. I mean, dude's still crushing.
Yeah.
And
Brian.
Yep.
There's definitely that's the huge upside to like even having people come in and train that just want to learn a trade that have no experience in window tint. Like you can set up a really nice life for yourself as a one-man shop with maybe you have a spouse that helps you run it, or a part-time employee, or you even maybe subcontract sometimes. Like there's a million different ways to do it. And in my mind, as long as you're not looking at it from like a scarcity mindset and you do want to grow, like, I mean, real big picture is like I would like to develop people that get so skilled that there's only so many levels that we can grow to in this business. That's why we're already trying to create the school and everything, is create extra opportunities. But like we could get to the point, especially and this is where, like you just said, the big goal is the school, which I've been saying like crazy. I just had a little shift actually at WealthCon, talking to Gary and looking at the Wealthy Business program is like, that's a whole nother business technically, right?
Yeah.
Like, so really I think the first priority is make sure that we actually have everything in this business locked down and like running the way a business should be run to be able to be scaled.
Yeah.
And then we have that locked down. Not only can we teach the window tinting skills, but then we can teach and consult and teach the business side, which is what it's really going to take if the person does have the ambition to grow it and scale it. And don't be scarcity mindset that this person's going to be competition. Like, the industry
It's too much glass.
is still, there's too much glass, and there's too many people that are unaware of the products that we sell. Like, it can grow, and it can grow by more people having that knowledge and skill. Now they're going to be out spending their money and resources on creating content, which is going to be going out on social media, which isn't going to be just consumed by people in their area. It'll get consumed nationwide. Everybody is now drumming up more work for everybody.
Instead of wasting the energy on fighting, use that energy to keep growing the entire pie. Exactly. There's more business for everybody. So I think that's the thing. That's a good spot to wrap this up. It was nice getting hitting some touch points of kind of what we're looking forward to. It was nice getting kind of like a debrief on WealthCon. So I appreciate that. I look forward to the next WealthCon. I will definitely be attending it.
I'm super excited.
I'm looking forward to the Hermozi's the acquisition workshop. Really looking forward to that. Seeing what you and Michelle bring back from that. What we can keep growing on and kind of get some feedback from someone whose their business is growing businesses. Like that's what they do. That's what they're amazing at. So it's gonna be real nice to kind of get feedback from that to make sure like, okay, are we heading in the right direction? Are we in the right area? Stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to this upcoming year. Tinter Battles. I'm looking forward to going down there and handing the Texas squeegee his ass, I will say. And it's always
I
fun.
don't know if he'll compete. I think he's done
he
competing at Tinter. He's gonna be running Tinter Battles.
Yeah, he always.
I'm excited to team up with
him.
him and do the teaching part. That's
I'm excited with that too. But he's always come up with excuses not to compete. It's all good, though, Carlos. It's all good. Is what it is. But we'll see where that event takes us, and then leading into the end of the year, if for the tin off, will I compete again? I still don't know yet. We'll see how the year develops. 50-50 if I'll go back and try to retain my title or not. And it's going to really depend on if I install. It's really going to depend on how much I install this year. If I don't feel like I'm ready for actual competition, like I haven't gotten anything up install-wise, probably I'll end on the high note. But too early in the year for that. We'll see how it goes. So, I just want to thank everyone for tuning in. Another episode. Really appreciate you guys following along. If you have any questions you'd like or topics, suggestions for guests, just go ahead and leave it on the comments. Give us a share, pass it around. Let people know what we're doing. We appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of add on to that for a second. I'm super grateful for anybody that's been following along, supporting us, sharing. I know we've gotten a lot of support recently on our social media, people sharing, getting other people to follow along. Super grateful to be able to sit down and do this with you and just continue to try to build this business up. And even though I know when we're not doing this in front of a camera, these conversations don't normally go this well. So maybe we need to do this more often. As much as I might give you a hard time about us not doing enough, the fact that we have accomplished as much as we have, it's not lost on me how much we've invested into actually moving forward and doing the things that need to be done. I really appreciate the fact that you guys do reel me in sometimes. And
that's what I was going to say. There is a positive and negative pushback on both sides. You're there to push us along, and I need that idea person. I need someone who's thinking outside that box, because that's just not me. I've got zero qualm against that. It's just not, unfortunately, it's not how I think. But I need that around me. And it's same thing. I help benefit being around you. And then same thing with bringing the Shell. That's why I was so excited when the Shell ended up coming back into the company, is we all three of us think of things in business completely different. And I think that's the best thing about having all three of us together is we all have our strengths, we have our weaknesses, and they're all, in my eyes, the perfect spots for the right pushbacks. You push us to go out of our comfort zone, doing this, extremely out of my comfort zone. And then at the same time, I push back on certain things. Where I'm like, okay, whoa, one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Let's But it's.
I know I'm like a machine gun, and they just keep coming.
It's good. It's good. Push back and forth. I really do enjoy it. So
mentioning, being able to work with Pineda and the fact that we're getting to go to do the Hermozi thing, extremely grateful to live in this amazing city. Vegas is. So amazing. There's so much going on here right now. The fact that we have access to people like Ryan, to people like Alex and Layla, There's a bunch of other actual successful
People behind
Stefan,
yeah.
Iced Coffee Hours. I haven't met him yet, but that's someone that I definitely consume everything he's doing because the dude's just a well of wisdom. Yeah. Everybody that has been following along, we really, really do appreciate it. I want to keep saying that because I know committing any amount of your time to consuming anything is a big deal. And we really, really do appreciate it. So if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe, and please share if you found any value in this. Thank you.